Hey friends, I'm back from my trip. I am home again. It feels really good to be home. There's no place like home, and there's nothing like a good vacation, long enough to really have a nice vacation, but also long enough to really enjoy being home when you get home. It's always the worst when you get home from a vacation and you're like, oh, I wish it was longer. When there's that perfect amount of vacation where you had a great time, but then it's long enough that you're just really happy to get home. That's exactly how our vacation was. So we are home now. I do have some more footage from the trip, some more family vlogs and what I eat in a day type vlogs from the trip. So you'll be seeing that coming up. It'll be a little bit out of order, but I wanted to get back into the swing of posting my weekly wellness updates. I've been doing the coaching with Jonathan Shane of the Keto Road, and so this video is going to have our chat from shortly after I got back. It was actually more like a week after I got back because as soon as I got back from my trip, he was gone on the low carb cruise, which we will chat about a little bit in the video. And so I had a little bit of time at home before he got back. And then now we're back into the swing of having our weekly coaching sessions. So a lot of what we talk about, well, first of all, we have probably about 6 minutes of chatting about both of our, our talks that we did, because we were both on trips giving different talks and just kind of chit chat about life. So if that's not something that you're interested in, once the our talk starts or our call starts, you can skip about 6 minutes and you should get to where we start talking about all of my issues and do actually the coaching session. But in the coaching session, we go through how my vacation did as far as all of my health stuff goes. So we get into that. We talk a lot about a lot of things. So I feel like this call is really packed. Like I say in the beginning, since we hadn't talked in so many weeks, we probably could have sat and talked for a couple of hours about all the different things. So it is jam-packed. Definitely talk about my weight and what my weight did on the trip. And, now that I'm home, Jonathan is super nice. And he's like, you got some inflammation weight while you're on your trip. And I'm like, it ain't just inflammation weight. Let's just be honest here. I'm sure some of it is just water, no big deal, but I definitely gained weight on the trip. So we chat about that, all different things. So let's go ahead and head over to that call. And like I said, if you want to skip the just catching up chit chat, skip about 6 minutes and you will get into the coaching part.
Hello.
Hello. How are you? Long time no
I'm
talk.
doing well. Long time no talk.
I know. You've been traveling and doing things. And
You
having
too.
fun. I know. We've been busy. How have you been?
Fun. I've been good. So I feel like it's been long enough. We could probably sit here and talk for like 2 hours.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
You posted a video yesterday about some updates going on with you. I'll make sure to link that so that everyone can get all that info.
Yeah.
You've got a baby coming here pretty soon.
I do.
I mean, that changes life just a little.
Just a little.
Yeah, a little blip.
It's funny, you talk to people and some people will say the craziest chaotic changes from 1 to 2. And then one person, and I tend to go with the few when people, because social media, when a lot of people are saying something, I'm like, okay, what is that one person saying that nobody else is saying?
Yeah.
And my pastor came up to me and said, honestly, the hardest transition is 0 to 1. Like once you know how to raise a kid, you'd be okay.
Yeah.
And so, it's going to be new. And I think a lot about like balancing because, especially with some of the things I'm taking on with like FCA and all of that. I'm not going to be in the house as much. I'm still going to be here because obviously I'm still coaching and all the things I'm doing, but like I'm definitely going to have time out of the house more so than what Haley had. So making sure that Casey, our new baby's name is Casey Leanne. Yeah. Making sure that Casey has the same kind of attention from me as Haley got is important to me, but also making sure that they both know how equally loved they are. And I know that's almost impossible to do at first because there's obviously attention deprivation from Haley and things like that, if that's the right word. Just there's a difference, right? And so just making sure I'm cognitive of that and it's at the forefront of my mind. So yeah, there's a lot of things I'm thinking about proactively, which I did with Haley and it worked out. So I'm trying to manage that in my mind beforehand too with her. So
yeah, well, and then every kid gets a different parent because you're different. I mean, that's the reality of life. But I loved in the video what you said about having your wife come home more, during the time, especially when you have a newborn, like just that time at home, it goes by so fast when they're little, tiny. And so for her to be able to have that more, like, I'm just excited for all the.
Yeah, because with Haley after maternity leave, she went back. And granted, she's a nurse, right? She works 3 days a week. But the thing with nursing is that it's emotionally draining, right? You have to give out a lot of empathy. You deal with death. You deal with sickness. You deal with you deal with a lot of emotions, and so it really takes her time to recover at home. And so that's draining on her. And with one kid, it's cool, but definitely, I think as a mom, the more children you have, the more you want to be home. And so that's why the things I'm doing is so that when she has to go back to work, she can just go back part-time and she can be home more and have more energy for her family. And I want to give that to her. So I'm excited about that for her for sure.
I'm excited for you guys.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you.
The low carb cruise.
Oh my gosh.
It sounded like horrible. I'm glad I didn't go.
Oh, it was awesome. You should have total FOMO. Total FOMO.
Oh, I did.
Yeah. So next year's in Alaska. We'll see if they ask me to speak. From what I've heard, everybody received my talk really well.
Nice.
In my opinion, and of course I'm biased here, it was the best presentation I've given. In fact, I think Joe and Rachel are gonna air it on their YouTube channel.
Oh, good. I was wondering.
Yeah, they recorded the whole thing. Best presentation I've given by far, just in terms of engagement and being real and being nuanced and giving a practical application. It was really good. The other thing too, the thing that stood out to me the most was the amount of rapport building. Because like when you're at Hack Your Health or some other meetup, like there's hundreds, if not thousands, of people there that want to talk to you, and so like it's you have 5 minutes of like good time with somebody, and then somebody else wants, and so you have to like it's hard because you have to like divide your time properly and make sure that you're being present with everybody. Whereas with the cruise, you're stuck in this steel container with people.
Can't get away.
We can't get away. So it's nice because like when a couple wanted to sit down and talk for 3 hours, I could.
That's awesome.
And so I got to have like hour-long conversations with multiple couples, and it allowed for like, them opening up over time and being able to tell me more details about their life and how I'm able to help, give them better advice or just build rapport, just get to know them on a deeper level. And I cherish that kind of social environment. And so, yeah, it was amazing.
That's so cool.
Thank you. How was the meetup?
It was awesome. Yeah, it was also amazing. Got to spend some quality time with Chris and Miriam. The Murphy family and the Barrett family, we all got to cohabitate for like 5 days, and the kids all got to get to know each other, and it was great. I was going to mention, I was asked about you in the Q&A portion of the meetup. So we got to chat about, all the things that you offer and why you're such an amazing coach. It was all good things.
Oh, thank you. That means a lot to me. Thank you.
That video is on the Keto Chow YouTube channel on the live. So in the Q&A portion,
I'll go watch it.
The whole video is worth watching.
Lynette, if you're watching this, when are you going to invite me to a meetup? Because I'll show up.
Yeah.
I'll show up. I'll be there. I'll do it. She knows that too. I told her last time.
Yeah. I'm sure you're on the short list.
I am. Woo. But yeah, no, super. I'm glad that went well. Yeah, they always seem like Keto Chow does a great job of community building, and so I have no doubt it was just freaking amazing.
It was a trip of a lifetime.
That's awesome. Okay, so let's get into you.
Okay.
How are you feeling? You seem like you're still uppity up.
I am right now. I'm feeling amazing. So good. Okay, but let's go back because it's been what, like 4 weeks?
3. Yeah.
Okay, so before I left for the trip, so we're going on a 2-week road trip with all the kids. Like, it's not just a walk in the park. About 5 to 7 days into the trip, my heart rate started going up again, really fast. Oh, I got a thumbs up for that. My heart rate started going up. I started feeling all of those hyperthyroid symptoms coming back. Like, I knew things were bad when I was lying in bed trying to fall asleep, and all I could feel, all I could hear was my heart pounding. And you know, like the extreme hunger after I'd just eaten an hour ago, that kind of thing came right back. And I expect it was from the stress of the trip. Also because of the stress of the trip.
I literally wrote that down. I was like, anxiety question mark, travel question mark. I was going to ask you that. Okay.
Yeah. So I think that's part of it. I also I'm taking my medication 3 times a day. And there were a couple times I would miss one dose, no more than one dose in a day, but I did, you know, with the travel. And so I think the combination of those two things probably were the factors there. So I had already weaned off of the beta blocker that I had been taking, but I took it with me just in case, and I'm glad I did because I went back on it at that point and stayed on it till the end of the trip because I was like, I just got to get through the trip and then we'll see when we get home. So since I've gotten home, it's come way down. Actually, I have a little graph to show you. It's so crazy. So that's my heart rate, and this peak right here is that 5 days into the trip. Are you able to see that?
Yeah, I am.
Okay. And that's when I started taking the medication again, started coming back down. And then since I've gotten home, it's dropped even farther than it was when I left. So I was like at 70 resting heart rate when I left. And now yesterday it was 66.
Okay, so I do have I definitely think the travel stress, obviously, you know, you're in a box with your kids for hours on end, and that can definitely add to stress, which I definitely think can dysregulate. Medication, definitely. Also, on top of that, because I know we talked about travel foods and things like that, how did your food change when you got on the road versus when you were back at home?
Yeah, I pretty much the only change was that I probably ate a little more because I wasn't restricting, and I just ate to hunger. And then as soon as, my appetite went up with the hyperthyroid symptoms, I'm sure I was eating more at that point too. I didn't eat a lot of, crazy stuff that I don't normally eat. It was pretty regular in that aspect, but I just
Did you take anything out?
What?
Did you take any food choices out?
No, I don't think so.
No. How was your carbohydrate intake when you were on the road?
I definitely ate carbs, and there were definitely days where I ate more than the 100.
Okay.
But I wasn't, tracking, of course. So I don't know for sure on all the days, but I think I probably got at least 100 every day.
Okay, good. So
I didn't go keto or anything, all the way keto.
Well, and that was my only concern because I know, like with travel, the sweet potato and all the whole. That's the only thing that's hard about traveling is if you are on a lower carb regimen where you have to be, especially if like your hormones are impacted by it, it gets more difficult because it's just not fresh food to buy and things like that. But if you plan ahead for that and stuff, then that's great.
Yeah, I think I did pretty good. I mean, I relied on fruit and things like that, probably more than starches, but I still got some starches in there because I'm fine with like potato and stuff. And we didn't eat out a lot, so I was able to cook for myself most times at the Airbnb or whatever, and it was fine.
Good.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So then I would definitely knock it to what you said, just like getting out the medication too quickly, not titrating it because you're just not there yet.
Okay, so I'm on 2 medications. Mm-hmm. One of them is thyroid lowering, and that's the one that I've been on this whole time. It's just lowering thyroid hormone. The other one is a beta blocker that was just for the symptoms. Mm-hmm. And so I had gotten off the beta blocker only. And I was doing great. Like my heart rate was really low. And I had been off the beta blocker for a while before we left for the trip.
Okay. So
I think, and I've gotten back off of it since I've gotten home. So
that's interesting. I wonder, have you told your doctor about this? What did she say?
I see her on Friday, so I haven't talked to her yet.
I'll be interested. I wonder if there's that's interesting. I wonder, I don't know. My mind's going in a million different directions. I'm curious to see because obviously there's a correlation between your stress levels and how you respond to where your thyroid is right now and how the beta blockers help get in the way of your physiological response to stress? Because that seems like that's what's going on here. That's really curious to me. I'll be curious. Like I would be curious to answer a question of like, why when I'm at home I don't need the beta blockers, but when I'm traveling and I have a little bit more stress in life, did I need them? Is that temporary? Am I always going to have to deal with that? Maybe there's some stress management tactics that we can work through when you're traveling, like proactively going forward. So I don't want to give anything yet. I want to hear what she has to say, but I'm very curious.
Yeah. And probably missing a few doses of the thyroid lowering medication.
Oh yeah.
Do it as well. So I think it's probably, and I did see, well, I guess I was on the beta blocker the rest of the trip, but I did see everything go back down. And then after I got home, I titrated off of the beta blocker, and I've been off for, I mean, probably a week now.
Yeah. And so that's what's curious too, is like when you did miss your thyroid medication, because that tends to have a 24-hour rotation.
Okay.
So like ADHD medication and things like that. And so I'm curious, like, again, like, does that mean you're going to need to be on it? Or is it just the fact that you went from 0 to 100 a couple of days? If that impacted things, if this is, because that would make sense, right? Because it's like any medication. One of the biggest issues in, like, I'm not a doctor. I'm not a medically licensed doctor here, but I love it when I hear stories about people that like cold turkey metformin or cold turkey heart, whatever, because like, and they heal and they feel great. But I've also heard horror stories about that.
Don't do that.
Because your body doesn't. It's no different. A lot of people don't know this, but so like your body creates its own melatonin in your pituitary gland, and it uses the same things that it uses to make serotonin to make melatonin. And when we supplement with melatonin, our body, then it's no different than taking testosterone. Our body stops. It doesn't need to. Like our body is a survivalist, and so when we give it exogenous forms of things, it stops being dependent on its own mechanisms to do it. And so, for example, people that take melatonin all the time, when they decide to get off of it, they don't titrate. They go cold turkey. And the first couple of weeks is hell because their body just is like, okay, I guess I'm making this on my own now.
Yeah.
Right?
I don't remember how to do it.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm curious to see what she says about that too. Like maybe it was that. Maybe it's just that when she's like, you're good, she's going to go, hey, I'm going to put you on a lower dose and then a lower dose, and we're going to let your body kind of acclimate to the new environment. So this point is there's a lot of nuance here. There's a lot of things going on. So I'll be curious to hear what she says.
Yeah. So when I talked to her last before the trip, when I got that, real good T3, T4 blood test result, I was like, do I need to start, lowering the medication at this point? And she said no, because my TSH was still so low.
There we go.
And obviously she knew what she was talking about. So
yeah. Hey,
I'm really interested to see what my blood work says on Friday, as far as, T3, T4, TSH, all of that. It'll be interesting. Yeah. But as of right now, since, being home a little over a week or so, I feel really good. It's been such a roller coaster with, what my body has been through, to go from, a resting heart rate of 97 down to a resting heart rate of 66 in a short period of time. Like, I was thinking about it the other day, and it was like, I feel like I'm going in slow motion. Because I had that like internal vibration for so long, just, being hyper and shaky and all of that. And so it's like, now I feel like I'm going in slow motion. Like I have more time to think about everything that I'm doing. It's so bizarre, but it's amazing. And then the other thing is my sleep has gotten even better. I've been sleeping all the way through, not even having to get up to go to the bathroom once. And like, I feel fantastic.
Yeah. It reminds me of like, I'll never forget the times I get sick, because when I'm sick, my heart rate at resting is like 80s, 90s. I can't sleep, everything, like you're shaking. It's like the sun feels almost intolerable. It's really bizarre. Yeah. And then like this morning I woke up and my heart rate was like 47 when I got up. And I'm like slowly getting out of the bed, just taking my time, so I definitely resonate with that sensation.
Yeah. I'm feeling super good.
Good. I'm glad. So let's talk about, because I know we've been focused on the thyroid stuff, and I don't want, again, like we want to make sure that's good, but I definitely think you're in a better place to talk about some of your other goals you had.
Yeah.
And obviously I know with like extra food and things like that and like travel and all that, I know you probably put on some fluid retention and things like that.
Yes.
Um,
Well, I put on weight. Let's say I just, because I did, and it did not drop off as soon as I got home. So I don't know that it's all water weight.
yeah. Well, yeah, I like to, I want to look at the, the greener grass first. Well, because most of the time I am having that argument. Like they're like, oh my gosh, I gained 3 pounds of fat, and I'm like, physiologically, that's impossible. Let's talk about where those weights coming from.
Right.
So,
but yeah, I definitely hear people swing to the other extreme too. Like, oh, I gained 10 pounds of water. It's all water. You're like, okay, sure. I try to be a little bit realistic and,
Yeah.
I definitely gained weight. When I got home, I was 6 or 7 pounds up from the 2 weeks before.
Yeah.
I've lost a few pounds since then. So I'm up around 3 or 4 pounds at this point. So
yeah, I saw that.
I have to remind myself I am on a medication that causes weight gain right now.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
But I went on vacation for 2 weeks and I'm not up 15 pounds. I'm going to say is a win. Yeah. But still, I would prefer to not have this extra weight, but whatever.
Yeah.
Considering how good I feel, I'm like, if the weight is the only thing, like I'm okay.
Oh my gosh, you're gonna make me say it. I have said this on every client call this week. It is a running theme that I've been making clients like look in the mirror in the first thing in the morning and realize that their value and their worth and their purpose is the same now as it will be 10 pounds lighter or heavier. And that's important because when we make weight loss a necessity rather than a desire, and that doesn't mean there's not people that need to lose weight to get in a healthier spot. I'm not saying that. Like two things can be true at the same time. But when it's only a necessity, it takes the choice from us. And when it takes the choice from us, it makes it less desirable, but it also makes it less achievable. And it also makes the gratitude for it or for the process much less. And so it's being able to, like you said, like, I feel good. I feel healthy, right? So this stuff, the goals that I achieve are so much better because they're adding to my purpose. They're not giving me my purpose.
Yeah.
Right. So no, that's great. I love that for you. I really do.
I feel like in the last, 5 to 7 years, that has been my journey. Cause there was a long time where it was like life or death. I have to be skinny or else I am XYZ, not worth it, not going to be loved, all those things. And that has been a huge part of my journey. And I feel like I've grown in that area to the point where I want to, have a fit, lean body, but it's not my identity. It's not my worth. Nobody's going to love me more because of it. Like I'm confident of all of those things now. So that's why, I do all these experiments on my channel and I like try different things and, play with stuff. And I know that I could go on some kind of a low calorie diet and lose a bunch of weight. Like I know I could do that, but I don't because I don't need to. Like I don't have that drive. I just have to be skinny at all costs. I want to be healthy.
No, I just picture this phrase, get thin or bust.
And I've been there. I've totally been there. But I'm like, I'm so done with that I would rather either not lose weight or take 10 years to lose the weight than go on something that's an unhealthy way for me to lose it. That's the point that I'm at. And so anyways, that's still where I'm at. And even though I don't like the extra 3 or 4 pounds that I gained, and I'd still like to lose, 10 or so pounds beyond that, it's not the end of the world.
Good. That being said, I am going to lower your food.
I was going to talk to you about that because my appetite has been lower the last week. I've been like, wow, I only ate 2,000 calories today and I feel fine. This is different. Yeah,
it's good. It means your body's stabilizing. There's an argument to be made that some people don't eat enough food, and I agree with that. But I also think that sometimes I'm not saying you, but humans in general, I'm not going to get on a soapbox about this, but tend to think they need more food than they actually need to like thrive. I even struggle with that. But yeah, so real quick, I'm gonna share my screen with you. All right, so your macros have been 140 grams of fat, 175 grams of protein, and 100 carbs. High protein diets are great for satiation, but I have noticed that when we get our grams of protein closer to our ideal body weight, our body tends to follow suit. Not sure the mechanism behind that, but like it's a thing. So I'm not lowering it completely. I'm just taking 10 grams off. So you're just going to be at 165 grams of protein.
Yeah. I found the last few days, like I've been struggling to get the 175. So.
Oh, well, good. Oh, see, then this is intuitive. This is we're on the same wavelength.
Yeah.
Dropping your fat by 10 grams because I don't think you need, I think it's already low. It's not as low as it could get, but it's, I don't think we need to chip away at it too aggressively. Sure. So we dropped your fat by 10 and then we dropped your carbs by 20.
Okay.
The reason why we didn't, you might be like, why didn't we drop it to 75 or 70? And it's because I find, especially for someone that's trying to regulate hormones or women specifically, I always call like 50 carbs to 80 carbs. I call that no man's land. Like it's like you're not low enough in carbs to be like on a strict ketogenic diet, but you're not eating enough to like have the positive impacts that carbs can bring. And so like your body's kind of like, okay, this is weird. We're kind of in limbo with this macronutrient. So I always find like if we're going to drop carbs and still try to use them to a benefit, 80 is about as low as we want to go. So again, only dropping your calories by, roughly 200 a day. But you already said you were eating around 2,000. So this should be very manageable. And I'm curious to see over the next week or so how your body responds to it.
Okay. I have a question about the carbs and the no man's land. So since I have been on a keto diet, there are a lot of keto products and foods that I enjoy that have a lot of fiber carbs. Is it worth looking at net carbs to make sure I'm getting enough like starch or actual carbohydrates if I do want to incorporate some of those products with the fibers?
Okay. That is a great question. Okay, I'm going to give you, we'll adapt this for you because you are a content creator and you do try different snacks. I think it's important to think of this.
Yeah.
I'm not big on net carbs because I think, I'm not saying you're going to do it for this. I'm just speaking this out loud. I've always found net carbs as an excuse to eat an obnoxious amount of keto treats and overconsume calories. Like people like all the time, I'm not losing weight. I'm eating, 1,500 calories a day. I'm like, okay, well, show me your food intake. And it's usually a bunch of keto treats and stuff to get by, fat bombs, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, okay, the thing is that we don't know all the fibers in that food. We have no idea what's being digested and what's not. Is a lot of it not being digested? Maybe. Sugar alcohols, like erythritol is a great example. Erythritol turns into BHBs in your colon. Those things have calories. They do, right? And if you absorb any of them, right? And of course, I'm speaking in theoretical terms because we don't know a lot about this, but there's a possibility that you could be getting calories from sugar alcohols too. And if you're consuming a lot of them, they could be adding an extra 100 to 300 calories a day that you're not even aware of. So also, and not to even get into like over consuming fiber and sugar alcohols in the terms of how they impede on your gut health, which can, cause a lot of weight gain, things like that. For that reason, I'm not cool with net carbs. However, I do understand your dilemma.
It's a funny place to be because normally people will say, don't count net carbs because you'll overconsume total carbs. And I'm thinking, I want to make sure I get enough of actual carbs, the sugar and the starch to, do what we're doing. So I don't want to overconsume that and count it as real carbs when maybe my body isn't absorbing it. So it's a funny place to be.
I'm glad you say that because I have clients that are very carb phobic and we're working through that psychological place and stuff with them, which takes time. But often, I'll have a client that's like, I'm adding all these carbs and I am gaining water weight and nothing's happening. Oh, what are you eating? And they're literally eating like 5 cups of like broccoli, cauliflower, and Brussels sprouts because they're the friendly carbs that they know they should eat. And I'm like, okay, you are exploding your gut for one. For two, while those are carbs, they don't raise blood sugar, which they always respond with. I know, that's why I'm eating them. We want those positive physiological responses from that insulin rise. And so you're trying to raise your blood sugar when you eat these carbs in this context, right?
Yeah.
So here's what we'll do. Your goal is 80 net carbs, 100 total.
Okay.
So basically, as long as your net carbs at 80 and your total is under 100, that should give you 20 grams of fiber, sugar, alcohols. And if it goes a little bit over that, but you stay under 100 total, that's okay. But that should give you a little bit of a window to try different things.
Okay. And it'll be interesting just to keep an eye on it to see.
Yeah. Because a lot of people don't realize how many total carbs they get when they only track net. So you might try something and go, my net's 50, but my total's 110. Holy crap.
Yeah.
So yeah, that'll be interesting.
Okay. I will pay better attention to it this week.
Okay. Deal?
Sounds good.
Sweet. All right. You good? You need anything else from me?
As far as like training, I would like to train as if I was going to run a 10K in around August, like 8 weeks.
Deal.
What should I do? I don't have a race planned. I may just, do it on my own, but I want to train as if I'm training for a 10K in August.
Do you have a date?
No.
Okay. Well, pick a date. Pick 8 weeks out. Let me know, and we can talk about it on our call next week. I will build you a plan. I'll build you a plan on your spreadsheet.
Okay. Perfect.
You're good?
Yeah.
Sweet. All right.
All right. That was awesome.
All right. You have a great day.
You too.
All right. Bye.